What's up, Family Liberty? Drill Sergeant, aka Admin Doug here, and I want to talk about the Republican response to the LA fire. Okay? In Los Angeles, thousands of homes, hundreds of thousands of lives have been irreparably changed. And the response of Republicans, both just the regular guys on the street and the elected officials, has been shit. Nothing. It has been let it burn. It has been they did this to themselves. And in trying to understand this, I've started this video over and over again. I've tried to come at it from different ways to provide the proper training to the family of liberty. And then I saw this, and immediately it came to me, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. This is how you talk about this subject. Now, before I read something to you, before I read the revelation that I saw, I want to make sure that you, Family Liberty, remember this meme. I put this up on Blue Sky and on Facebook just about 3 or 4 days ago. Remember that? Okay, keep that in mind while I read this. Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, so you know it's going to be good, has called on a mysterious they to use cloud seeding to stop the California wildfires. Quote, why don't they use geoengineering like cloud seeding to bring rain down on the wildfires in California? They know how to do it. Now, excuse my voicing. I know it doesn't sound as gut-wrenching and nail-scratching on the side of a chalkboard as hers, and I know that it only barely represents the amount of stupidity buried within the hick Neanderthal known as Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I tried my best. Let's move on. In response to this absolute buffoon and her quote on Twitter, scientists chimed in, believe it or not. Marjorie, we can't make water spontaneously appear. Atmospheric scientist Matthew Capucci wrote, cloud seeding requires moisture to be present. Cloud seeding just helps it fall. When the relative humidity is like 4%, you don't have any water in the atmosphere, he added. Also, who is they? Another meteorologist, Louisville meteorologist Bryce Jones, also chimed in, please keep politicians away from weather and keep politics entirely out of it. This is exhausting. And it came to me. Family Liberty, this is exhausting. The reason why we have the response that we have from Republicans, both plebeians and elected officials, is because the Republican Party has spent 50 years cultivating like inhumans in a petri dish.
Grows in a peachtree dish.
A peachtree dish.
I don't know.
The most hateful and intellectually incurious, obnoxiously stupid, imbecilic, thoughtless, brainless, foolish, and idiotic, cultivated group of people that they call a voter base in the history of the world. Has to be. Now, this may not be the whole entire reason, and I have a more in-depth dive, okay, into exactly the mindset of these Trumpites, these MAGites, and just the Republicans as a whole, talking about the actual politicians, what they said, why they said it, and where it affects us. I have that. Just go to Political Drain. That's my other YouTube channel. I just put that up there, and you're going to want to see that. But this is the crux. It's the stupidity and the hatred. That's the takeaway. That's why the response has been what it has been. Fam, the most hateful and the most stupid, unironically dumb, the most incurious and foolish base that you could possibly cultivate, and 50 years of actually trying to do so has led to these Cro-Magnons amongst us, has led to the same people who would cry MAGA tears, so many tears that right now those tears would have stopped the fires in California if just one person on the left decided to say anywhere close to the things that they're saying about the LA fires, about whose fault it is. What if they brought in climate change? Well, you guys like to vote for people who don't believe in climate change. Nobody cares if the winds come and blow down your home. No, we don't do that. We don't say that because we don't mean that, because we're not hateful, because we're not imbecilic, because we're not test tube humans bred by a 50-year onslaught of forced stupidity and brain hacking. That's why we don't. That's why we cared. That's why people like Big Sarge were out there in the field trying to help those same Republicans who would call him a whatever the next day. You see, hatefulness and stupidity gives you this.
Well,
What do you see there? What do you see there? Be careful. Be careful what you think you see. Because it turns out that the only time they do care about what's going on in LA and actual people's homes and property that are being burnt to a crisp, the only time they care about it is when they can blame the property damage on black people, brown people. You see, if those people were white, it would be a no-brainer what they were doing. They're evacuating the homes because fire is upon them. That's the case. But because they're black, because they're in tracksuits, this person decides to go onto X and say they're the usual suspects. And minutes later, 3 million people have seen it and all go, they're looting.
So tell me what happened, how that played out.
They told us to leave, and we got what we could. We have dogs, we have animals. We moved that stuff, and then we waited to see. We waited across the street, and that rude guy right there, I yelled at him and cussed him out because he acted like he don't understand. Like, we trying to get our stuff. You going home tonight? We not, and we just got what we could get. That's all we can do. We got to start over.
And how many of y'all live here?
Me and my 3 kids.
You don't know where you're going next.
Nope, but I'm going somewhere.
Yeah, tell me, how did you get all these? So these all friends, family?
They are. My brothers work for the city of Pasadena. They wet the vegetation before the firefighters came. The Compton firefighters is the only ones who really put the water out here and everything.
The culture of hate mixed with stupidity has caused the reaction that we see from the right. They hate anything that's not them. When you mix that with the stupidity, their imbecilic nature, born of geoengineering, born of bioengineering, if you will, you get that. Would it surprise you that in all of the thousands of homes that have been affected and miles of damaged area, there's been 20 cases of looting? 20. 20. Yet, you see this.
Those people that want to go up and loot, the full weight of the county will come down on you. And that's going to start with the district attorney who's issuing a press release and is going to make sure the full extent of the law is played out if you are caught looting in any area impacted by this fire.
That brings us to the crux of the story, fam, of liberty. Understand that what you see here is deflection. I'm not saying that there's anything anybody could have done, but the human mind wants to blame somebody when things go horribly. And rather than tell the people, hey, winds, climate change, that's why this happened. The horrible mixture of climate change, changing the weather, drying the land. It could have been an ember. It could have been a homeless person. They cause tens of fires every day. It doesn't turn into wildfires because they don't have 100-mile-an-hour winds in the same area. It's unprecedented. Instead of saying that, they would rather use that little built-in beacon that we all as humans have of wanting to blame somebody and talk about the 20 looters. 20 looters? Right now where you live, there's 20 looters. There's 20 more. There's 20 more. Do you get the picture? There's 20 people robbing the house down the street from you, across the way, in the next city. There's crime everywhere. The reason why there's only 20 looters is because it's on fire. They're leaving. No one's there to loot anything. The 20 number that you have is the lowest in the history of human life of people trying to steal something from an empty home. You know why? Because it's on fire. I'll end it here. The reason why they have cultivated this almost human voting base that only know hatred, that turn off their brains to all facts and revel in their stupidity. The reason why they want that base is because a base like that will allow you to never talk about the real issue, climate change. A base like that is so easily duped and will turn their heads and their face and their ears away from the truth that the oligarchs, that ExxonMobil, that Shell, that the people who have billions love to make sure that they're angry at something else rather than believe in the reality around them. And in order to keep that money flowing in order to keep that unbelievably unrealistic imbalance of power going, they need an imbecile fueled by hatred to the point where they're asking about cloud seeding, but tell you that man doesn't affect the weather. So climate change can't be real. It's God's choice. It's the earth. It's happened before. Man do not affect weather. Climate change can't be real. God says so. Meanwhile, why don't you seed the clouds to get rid of millions of miles of fire? Just put water there. We can do it. That's what they've made. That's why we're here. Allow me to turn the lights on for just a moment to bring it home. The fear is the point. That's why it's always ginned up. Because constant fear leads to exactly what they want. This.
A full federal takeover is needed. Invoke the Stafford Act. The state's overwhelmed. Martial law might have to be declared.
Martial law might have to be declared.
That hatred and the mix of imbecility and foolishness has caused a base that will turn on their own Americans because they're not them, because they're not a part of their cult. And that same base will vote in people who will put conditions on the saving of the lives and property of their own fellow Americans because they know that they can get away with it and make more money and keep the businesses happy in the process. They didn't care in North Carolina. They didn't care in Georgia. They didn't care in the Panhandle, Alabama, 3 months ago. And they don't care now. That's the truth. That's the video. So if you're one of the motivated few who made it to the end of this video without giving up, type in that comment section, Drill Sergeant. I made it, Drill Sergeant. Oh, and what time is it?
And now it's time for the throw punch!